everybody. I'm Jason Brown with Stryker. I handle most of the Stryker power equipment. Today we're going to talk about bone mill, our Core 2 console. I also do high-speed drills, lights, or anything kind of instrument related to Stryker. So you guys have, I don't know if you're aware, but we just got the new Bone Mill Plus in Dameron. It should be arriving either this week or some of the parts already got here. Very similar to the old bone mill that if you guys used before for spine cases, where it's going to be grinding up autograft bone from the patient and putting it back into the patient. We can use it in total joints, total ankles, but main use is for spine and spine fusions. I'll go over real quick on a couple of the disposables and then how to plug it up, set it up, and then have you guys kind of come in and hands-on play with it when we're done. So first of all, a couple of components you need is the actual mill, where the new case now that is coming in is going to be in this perforated tray like this. There's a little indicator how it sits in like so. The blue cord should be familiar from the old bone mill. It's the same exact cord. It plugs into the box, which is going to be a little bit more upgraded now, but we'll go over that in a second. And we can either blue wrap or AsciiLap tray these. You guys AsciiLap the old ones, so I'm sure we'll AsciiLap the new ones, but it can go either way, just depending on your facility. So pick this out and plug in our blue cord. A good rule of thumb for techs on the sterile field: when you get the blue cord and everything on your sterile side, plug in your stuff first before you hand off your cord. I've had it just recently, like 2 or 3 days ago. They just flipped it around and they're like, hey, this black end isn't plugging into here. Oh, yeah. Well, you're gonna run into a big problem because they're not the same cords, and now we have to pop in a whole other tray. It was their second case of the day, and they didn't have any more, so they had to flash a cord, which we know in spine cases isn't ideal. So, always good rule of thumb, nurses too, on the dirty side, don't accept anything until you see the stuff already plugged in. Don't just plug in things and hopefully that cord gets plugged in. So we'll take the black end, and there's a little white line on the black part of the cord, and then there's a white dot and then a little notch over here. Just go white notch to the white dot, plug it in like so. It should plug in all the way. So once that's plugged in, then we can hand off our other side, I suggest. It'll be the silver end with a red dot, and that correlates with one of the red dots on the Core 2 console. This Core 2 console will be new to most people here. You have a Core 1 that's a little more gray, not as digitalized on the front, but still has the same functions. They have 3 ports to accept the larger plugs, and then you have 2 foot pedals that only accept the foot pedal ports. These will go in any one of the 3, it does not matter. You can plug in drills, you can plug in 2 bone mills, you can plug in 2 drills and a bone mill. Just as long as it's plugged in and it reads something there, that means it's accepting of that power equipment. So on here we'll see it says bone mill plus 100%. So this is already plugged in, saying that it's reading this cord. So on our disposable side, everyone's familiar with the actual, is everybody familiar with the bone mill? At least what it does, it grinds up. You get this kind of like coffee grinder looking thing, which it hasn't changed too much. We made it a little bit easier, bigger collection ports, I'll go over in a second, but same principle. We did, however, come out with a new disposable called the Prep. This thing's pretty cool. So if any techs have ever cleaned bone on the back table, you sit there and scrape it all off. This now does it for you. So similar click on, it is a separate disposable, but the way it works, when the doctor picks a giant chunk of lumbar spine or a ankle or something with all the soft tissue on it, the only thing to do now is just scrape it off with a rongeur or a scalpel or a combination of the two, and it's just hands-on and just scraping things off. So now we can click this on. There's 2 little notches on the front of this one, nothing on the back. There are holes, but it's all seamless on this side. So this is the front, correlates with the little front of here, kind of sits right here. Push it straight on, should click. On the console, it'll read a different timer now. So now it's on a timing system. With this disposable, we take it off, it'll reset back to the other one, and it'll know which is on there. And so the way this works is that after 10 minutes, you can either restart it or you can pause it, but this is just gonna work for 10 minutes while you're doing something else, working with the doctor, hands-on other things. So this would just be going on the back table, cleaning the bone while you're doing other things in the OR. Sounds like this. Not crazy loud, but there is a little bit different noise because it is taking off the tissue, but this is pretty much the only sound. And when you get everything else going in the OR, you don't really hear much of it. Pause it, you can turn it on, turn it off whenever you want. To access it, there is a big giant black locking mechanism. It's just up to unlock, take that off, and then this is where we put all the bone with the tissue on there. You drop it in here, close up the top, lock it, press start, and this just goes and it'll clean off the bone. And whenever you need to access it, we just pause it, take out some bone, put in bone, whatever you need to do. There's no really right or wrong reason. Question?
It's not grinded at that time?
It's not grinding, no. This is just cleaning it. So you can do either or. So if you just want to have a clean chunk of bone, you can just clean it and open up this one and not grind it. They're two separate ones, so you can just grind it up if it's just, hey, we've got a little tiny chunk of bone, we don't need anything cleaned off, just grind it up.
Does it separate what is tissue and what
This
is bone?
this separates the tissue from the bone. And where the tissue gets collected is this top little collection port kind of area, and all the tissue gets kind of walked up with like an auger kind of style, and the bone stays down here and all the tissue stays up here. I have a couple videos I can show you like how it actually looks in the OR and actually working. But good question, yeah. So any other questions on this real quick? No? Just cleaning the bone. So in a typical like 2-level spine case, you have this going for whatever amounts of time. What do we got going? Then we're done. We take this off. We take our bone and then we open up our bone mill. This grinder thing will look more familiar. And then we put the bone into here and then grind it up. Yeah. So in the step currently, we're here. I got, say, my extra bone. Click on this one in the same way, the notch in the front as the other one. There's a smooth part in the back. It won't click on the other way, so you'll keep doing this for a while. It won't click on. Click. This will read 100% and bone mill, and this goes back to like your normal. Just as you push it on, it grinds up. When we stop, it stops grinding. So we can put our bone into the little collection area. This little collection area is like a third bigger, so you can put bigger chunks of bone in there. It holds more in here. Anybody that's used the old bone mill on the tech side, I don't know if you remember like the purple things that slide in and out, they're pretty hard and kind of stuck or sticky. So this is they made this a lot easier. It's got like a spring kind of clip on it now. A lot easier to take on and off, as well as the one that you're collecting on. It's not as really tight and pinched in there. Sometimes I've seen people where they really pull and all of a sudden the bone shoots out on the ground and we can't use it. So they made that a lot easier and a bigger collection, clear part to see where all the bone's at. Another cool feature on the new bone mill we couldn't do on the old one, we got some questions about where when you're done grinding everything out, you still see some bone that's left in the top of the grinder. We're like, I wish we could get all the bone out because we didn't have that much and we don't want to put all the bone we can in there. We do have a way to access that, and the way that is, so this is like top. Underneath, there's a little button. It's black, kind of hidden. It's right here. What that does is releases this spring. You can see that right there. And then that opens up the blade. So now we can have full access to the blade. This is very, very sharp, like a cheese grater, but this is completely open. This is where everything gets put in. So the bone gets collected here. You can literally open up the entire piece of it and put it back together and keep using it, but you can get all of the bone out of the device now. Close it back up, close it back up. Go back operational. Cool. Any questions on that? Yes.
Does that Core 2 generator work also with Core 1 generator items at all?
So yes, this is the new one going forward, and it's backwards compatible to everything you already have. This will also accept if you guys ever have any new REMV stuff or the new any of the new Stryker powers. Only it gets accepted by this.
And the old.
And the old. Well, the old one won't take any of the new.
Understood that.
Yeah. But it'll take old REMV, it'll take old bone mill, it'll take old stuff, and it'll take the newer stuff
Also,
too.
more. Does it really grind coffee too?
Yeah, it can process coffee and grind it up for you. That's we have different sizes too. We have a coarse, a medium, and then fine bone mills, and there's just different sizes. There's a little, I think there is on one of the front sizes. It shows like there's a 8.4 is the large one, 5.2 is with the medium, which almost everybody in the country uses, and then there's a fine one that goes to 3.2 millimeters. That's just the graph size. depending on what the doctor wants, what size cages they need stuff grafted in or whatever. But
So we got the medium.
medium is pretty much 90%
So we have
across the
both the
country.
prep tray and the medium
Yeah.
mill.
We only have one of those generators in?
One, yeah, there's only one that was purchased, yeah. Any other good questions? I advise everyone to come up and at least try it out one time, click it on, click it off. It's pretty simple, open things up, just so you have seen it before. But any other questions, concerns, comments? Thank you.